What is up, internet? How you guys doing? Today we're going to install the M4 exhaust on the Hayabusa. Oh man, I can't wait. This work of art is going to go on this work of art, and this work of art will then be elevated. It'll sound better, it'll look better, it'll perform better. Although I got to admit, this thing is it's so powerful and so fast. It's going to be hard to tell by the seat of your pants, you know, 10 or 15 more horses or whatever the power gain is. But we're doing it. It's finally here. This is going to be probably one of the biggest mods I'm going to do on this bike. So let's discuss the plan of attack here. We're going to take off this lower fairing. Ooh, let's turn the camera around. And then we'll take off the larger side fairing here. And then we're going to move to the back of the motorcycle and work our way forward by first taking off these humongous cannons and heat shields, and then the mid pipe, disconnect the O2 sensors, and then take the headers off. I think we're probably going to have to move the radiator back, and to do that we'll probably have to drain it. And we can see the radiator in there. Well, maybe we can, maybe we can't. There's the cap. So I think that's the basic plan, and then we'll start the assembly with the headers in the opposite direction and kind of move our way back. I also have a scale. I have seen a couple of videos. I think Chris Moore from Moore Mafia weighed a stock Gen 3 exhaust system. I want to say it was like 48 pounds. So we should come in around, you know, somewhere just under 50 pounds is what I'm thinking based on what I've seen on the internet. So it'll be interesting to see what we end up at, but let's get started. It's a complete waste of time to do what I'm doing here, and that is I'm pulling the lower and the upper side fairings off independently of each other. You can actually just pull them both off at the same time as one piece and save a bit of time. If you do pull off the lower fairing independently of the upper, don't forget that little magic screw hidden behind this cover. Okay, side fairing's off. You like that? I just kind of fell off. So here's one thing I would do differently. Let me show you real quick. So initially, I wanted to take this piece, leave this piece on the motorcycle. That's what I would do differently, is I would take that off with the side fairing. So instead of removing these two screws, I would leave those in. You only have to remove this fairing, this screw right here. And then the only thing that's really holding this on at this point is this push pin right up here. It's hard to see because it's so dark up in there corner. But if you just remove this screw right here, leave these two in, remove that push pin, then this will come off with the side fairing. It was basically the only thing holding the side fairing on at that point was that push pin in this piece. Pretty tight in here, man. Your oil cooler is pretty close to the headers. Radiator is a little bit farther away. But I think what I've seen most people do is drain the coolant, probably just pop this hose off, drain it into a nice clean container so we can reuse it because it's brand new. And then that will give you room to access the the Allen heads, which is what's holding our flanges on. There it is. So we're gonna need a ratchet and a socket, possibly a small extension. So we're gonna need more room. I'm pretty sure we're not gonna be able to do this without pulling the oil cooler and the radiator back a little bit. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Remember, we're gonna start from the back now that we got the fairings off and work our way forward, pull off those ridiculous cannons and the mid pipe, loosen the O2 sensors, get to the point where the only thing that's left is the headers, and then we'll work our way back forward again. Let's do it. everything is just, all these junctions are welded. And so all of this is just one big ass pipe. And I'm pretty sure I don't see any cables coming off of this. So this isn't a resonance chamber. It doesn't look like this bike has a resonance chamber on it. It's just a cat and the O2 sensors are plugged into it. All right, well, it is what it is. Just wanted to show it to you guys because, I mean, for me, that was a bit of a surprise. I was expecting this to be one piece by itself and maybe these be up here. These be separate pieces and this would be one piece and then the headers would be one piece. But it looks like it's all just one big ginormous piece. All right, let's take it off. This is what I was talking about earlier. On the left side, I took off the upper and the lower and the little plastic guard that goes in the center over the oil cooler. I took all of 3 of those pieces off as one piece. It just saves a lot of time and makes a lot of sense. Take your time when sliding the hose back. I tried to slide it back just a little bit, let some fluid out nice and slow and controlled. If you just yank the hose off, it's going to come out in a hurry. And you just want to make sure you got a nice, good size funnel and a good size container, clean container in this case, because we want to reuse this coolant. And yeah, otherwise, you know, if you try and rush this piece, you're just going to make a mess. I think we're about ready to drop the headers, which it's all one piece, man. It's the entire exhaust system. So I think we're ready to drop it out. I've got all the header flange bolts loose. So we're just about there, but I wanted to show you something. So let me turn the camera around here real quick. I tried, you'll notice that I've got the radiator disconnected. It's not removed. I didn't uninstall it or remove it from the bike. But we have one mounting bolt. There's 3 mounting bolts on the bottom of the radiator. There's 2 on each side and then 1 in the center right there. Remove those bolts, loosen the 2 up top so that it just kind of hinges, all right? And you'll see right now I've got it pushed back to where everything is nice and flush and like ready to mount again. Let's see if we can get the camera in there, okay? But with the top loose and these 3 mounting points unbolted, you can see we get, I don't know, maybe that's 1.5 inches. That extra 1.5 inches makes all the world of difference. And then we've got 1 bolt here, and then again on the other side, I've removed the O2 sensors. 1 on each side of those as well. So we're just about ready to just drop this sucker out. There is a bar. This is for the oil cooler that goes across this way. And you can kind of see it right there. And then there's a crossbar here on the exhaust connecting the outer 2 number 1 and number 4 cylinders. So this bar here, hopefully you can see it there, is going to hit this mounting for the oil cooler. So we need to take that off. Once we take that off, I think we have enough clearance. Hard to see in this camera angle, but I'm actually using my foot to support the exhaust. And then once it's actually resting on the ground, then I just tilted the headers away from me and slid it out at the same time. And it came out pretty easy, I have to admit. So with the headers and the collector and the mid pipe and the muffler installed, the header flange bolts at this point are just finger loose or finger tight. And now we're going to go to the back of the bike and tighten everything up and work our way forward to the headers, so that the headers will be the last thing that we torque down. There's no plug that I could see that's easily accessible for the wires on the O2 sensor. So what I like to do is wind the O2 sensor counterclockwise, so that when you thread it clockwise back into the pipe, there's no tension on the wires. They're not all twisted up. Let's see. Let me scoot over this way. We'll cover up the toolbox so you can see the beautiful Busa. There you go. You don't need to see the toolbox. Whew. All right, we're done. I am so ecstatic with how it looks, how it sounds. I wish I could take, I mean, the original plan was to end this video with a ride, but it's just too cold. Yesterday it was like 12 degrees Fahrenheit. Today it's like 32, it's like right around freezing, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. I think it was like, the forecast anyway was 1 or 2 degrees higher than that, but it's already colder now because it's dusk. It's starting to, the sun is setting and then the temperature drops fast here. It's like a desert, you know, during the summer it gets hot during the day, and then you don't care about that. Why am I rambling? The exhaust is awesome. It's, okay, so first impressions, that was literally the first time it ran. I started it up. There was no way I was gonna end this video without at least running the motor and hearing the exhaust for the first time. So first impression is it's absolutely gorgeous. The dual cans weighed in like 40 pounds together, like, yeah, 18 and a half, 19 pounds each. So almost 40 pounds, 38, 39 pounds. The M4 muffler is 8 pounds and there's only one of them. So, you know, we just knocked off, you know, if you're being optimistic, 32 pounds, but I think it's probably 30, 31 pounds, just with the mufflers. I didn't weigh the headers or the collector pipe or the mid pipe, but I can tell you that the Busa stock exhaust, the headers, and it's all one piece through the collector, the catalytic converter, and then the two mid pipes that come out to the muffler. That whole giant thing is one piece, and it's around 20 pounds, which actually is a little bit lighter than I thought it was going to be. So huge weight savings, over 30 pounds. The M4 exhaust, M4exhaust.com, the M4 website claims 29 pounds. So you're easily getting that. I think they were being conservative. So that's awesome. It might be a tad louder than I was expecting. Now here's the pro. They do sell, I believe, they do sell a quiet baffle insert for this exhaust. So once I get some riding in and we get it burned in, and it's been through, you know, a number of, I don't know, I mean, a dozen cold heat cycles. If I feel like it's getting too loud for my taste, I might go ahead and get the quiet baffle insert, but I'm afraid it might quiet it too much. I don't know, we'll see. We will see. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Hopefully in 2 days we'll get a ride in. I'll just make another, it'll be a short, quick video. But that way you can see the bike you can hear the bike, see the bike outside, away from the garage, because there is going to be some echo in here, which is going to affect how it sounds. When you get out on the open road, it's going to sound a little bit different, maybe not as loud as it does in here. Install it's not too bad. I think, you know, for me, it's been like 2 or 3 days. I think it's like 3 days, maybe 3.5 days, but that's because, you know, I got a day job, man. I'm a regular folk. So by the time I get home, pick up kids, go to the gym, work out, get something to eat, it's like 6 o'clock. So I've got, you know, a couple of hours. So it's been like an hour here, 2 hours there, an hour there. If you started this job at, you know, I don't know, 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, you could be riding by afternoon. It's probably like a 4 or 5 hour job for the normal person. Somebody who does this for a living at a shop is probably going to be, you know, less than that, maybe half, 2.5 hours, something like that. For somebody who does this, you know, these exhaust swaps all the time, works on boosters all the time, somebody who's already familiar with the bike. This was the first time I took the left side fairing off, and the first time I took the upper fairing. The only other fairing I've had off the bike other than the rear was this lower piece here, and that was just to do an oil change. So there's a lot of firsts for me, and so there was a little bit of learning. What else? What else can I tell you? Man, the O2 sensor bung holes, perfect. They fit perfectly. So I was really happy with that. And there's a third bung hole in the back that I wish I had covered it up before I installed the pipe. It's not terribly hard to get to, but it's a little cumbersome. You can't really, at least I couldn't fit a socket. It's an Allen head, so I couldn't fit my ratchet and socket in there. Just wasn't enough room. So I had to use an Allen key, and I used my wrench trick where you have a box end wrench, you slide it over the Allen key, and then you can use that to get a little bit of extra leverage. I put a little bit of a Ziploc bag over here, just so as you're moving it back and forth, getting to the header bolts, it just kind of continues to drip. So little sandwich bag, little plastic Ziploc bag, and then a zip tie, and that keeps it from continuing to drip and drabble all over the floor. What else? For some reason, the number 2 cylinder, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the right side as you're sitting on the bike. Number 1 is on the left side. The number 2 cylinder, the bottom bolt, these are the headers are Allen head bolts. The bottom one on the number 2 cylinder was very difficult. I was using a ratchet and a socket, and I had different size extensions and a universal joint. And depending on which one I was using, which cylinder I was on, top or bottom, you know, I used a different configuration for a couple of them at least. Just because just the way the access to the bolt was, even with the radiator loose and pushed back. So just be prepared to play with different size extensions and a universal joint. But Allen key socket would not fit. Just the way the pipe bent, the lower Allen head bolt, I could not get a socket on it. So I had to use an Allen key, and again with I think maybe a 10 or a 12 inch box end wrench to get the extra leverage, which worked fine, but it was just kind of cumbersome. And I actually had to do it from the left side. I was trying to do 1 and 2 cylinders on the left side, sorry, the right side, and then 3 and 4 on the right side. But that bottom bolt on the number 2 cylinder was very difficult to get at, and I think the bend on the M4 exhaust is just a little bit different, and the socket just wouldn't fit in there. It just wouldn't fit. So that part was a pain in the ass. I'm not gonna lie. That took a little while for me to figure out how to get in there and do it. But the rest of them were pretty easy to get to and pretty easy to torque down. Another thing I'm gonna do is, obviously we ran the bike, I let it get fairly hot. I didn't let the water temperature get up to temp, but I was having trouble getting, well, let me show you. I don't know if it's on film because my camera died, the battery died, but I still have this much coolant left over, which is a fair amount. But I was getting to the point where the cap was getting full, and you could see kind of, you know, the air bubbles kind of slowly drop down. I said, you know what, screw it. Let's put the cap on, let's get it fired up, and let it cool down, pop the cap back off. We'll have more room to put the rest of this coolant in, and hopefully, I spilled some, but hopefully I didn't spill that much that we'll have to add more coolant, but we'll see. We'll see. We will see. So be on the lookout for warmer weather. We'll get out there and actually do a ride with the bike. Like I said, I'm gonna let it cool down, top off the coolant, put the fairings back on, and then like the lower mounts are still loose. I haven't put those back in, so that's about it. That's about it. Oh, definitely pay attention to the instructions. They do provide some very detailed instructions, and there's some things in there you want to pay attention to. I don't know. I think that's all I got, man. Hopefully I remembered everything. All right, guys. Keep the rubber side down. We'll see you in the next video. Hopefully the next video will be actually riding the bike with the new M4 exhaust. Well, we'll see. Whatever it is, will be what it is. But ride M4 exhaust. definitely coming soon. If it's not the next one, it'll be the one after that. All right, guys. See you later. Bye.